for a minute.
Yeah, I was like, and then I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. And before I knew it was over, it was sad.
This is crazy. This is so nuts.
I'm Letitia Ferrer,
And I'm Chris Alexander.
and this is Totality Talks, the Solar Eclipse
It
podcast.
just took my breath away, the whole thing. It's really cool that you can see the corona and you see the sun kind of spewing out from behind the moon. It literally took our breath away.
Welcome back to Totality Talks. We have multiple interviews that we'll be pushing out quickly over the next 3 weeks as we travel into the path of the August 12th, 2026 Total Solar Eclipse. So like and subscribe to get those when they're published. In this episode, we have Jared Koh. He co-authors the new book, Chasing Totality. Here we go.
All right, I'm just going to do a quick
So-
intro. Today we're talking with Jared Koh. He and his father, Joe Koh, chase eclipses together as a family, and they've just written a book, Chasing Totality, the Complete Handbook for the 2020 Total Solar Eclipse. And we're going to be talking to Jared about his travel doing this, and especially about the tidbits that were included in the book, which I think were very, very helpful for especially first-time observers.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, you've been chasing. How many eclipses do you have under your belt now?
So I've seen 4 total eclipses, and maybe
Okay.
a 5th will be an annular, but that's from Singapore, and we didn't have to leave the country to see it.
The best kind.
The best
Yeah.
kind. And where was your first one?
The first total eclipse that I saw was actually in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So this is in 2012. Basically, mom and dad had been doing this for several years, and I had accumulated enough leave, so I joined them on a 21-night cruise, I think, on the Celebrity Millennium. We left Honolulu in Hawaii, and the cruise would end in Sydney, Australia. And the eclipse was planned halfway through that in the middle of the sea. So that was my first eclipse. It was amazing.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So your first one was at sea.
That's right.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I would say that, obviously I think I might be one of these eclipse chasers that sees a lot of eclipses from ships, because the 2012 one was from the ship. I think in 2023 as well, I saw one off the coast of Perth in Australia.
Mhm.
We saw that one as well in 2023 on the ship, and for this year in 2026, I'm going to be aboard yet another cruise ship
You
to
said
see
the
the
cruise.
eclipse off
It's
the
probably
coast of
because your
Spain.
parents like cruising too.
They do. They do.
They do.
So where did your Perth cruise take you?
So the one in 2012.
2023.
2023, no, we literally got on the ship at the port of Fremantle in Perth, and then it sailed up north, just north of Exmouth, which is where the eclipse was happening. We did not dock anywhere. It was literally
Ah.
just an eclipse cruise. So they left port, we saw the eclipse, and then we came back.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they had any of those.
That's crazy.
Chris and I were on land in Exmouth.
You're probably waving at
nice.
you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
probably yeah.
Yeah, we had a good bunch of friends who are in Exmouth as well, and they were talking about how crazy the traffic was. And that's part of the reason why my parents love seeing eclipses from cruise ships, because the logistics is all handled, right? You don't have to fight with the traffic. You don't have to, get there super early.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just walk back to your room.
Exactly.
And
Or
you're
to the
set.
buffet.
Yeah.
So your father has quite a big anniversary coming up, doesn't he? Because this is Saros 126. His first one was in 2008. So this is
Yeah.
his second eclipse of the Saros.
That's right. And he didn't actually realize it until we were writing the book and we were doing the research, and he was like, "Oh, it is." And it's one of those things that again captures perhaps the main point of the book that we're trying to make, which is that science deepens wonder. This idea
Yes.
that if you learn a little bit about what makes eclipses so unlikely, and the science and the work that goes into predicting them, then when you stand in the shadow of the moon, it truly means a little bit more.
Indeed.
And I mean, you guys included quite a bit in your book. I mean, for one thing, you included the story of the 1919 proof of relativity for Einstein, which is one of the famous eclipses that happened. The one thing that I was just reading back through it just a few minutes ago before I got here, and the one section that I loved was the ghost in the machine,
Yeah.
where your dad goes through the list of technical ghosts, mistakes that haunt you. They're so avoidable. It's so easy to make in the heat of the moment. Number one, the solar filter.
We've all
This
struggled
happened.
with that.
Oh my God. Remembering to take the solar filter off. First time eclipse chasers and veteran eclipse chasers, take off the solar filter at Totality. And I love the bumped focus because that actually happened to my husband in 2023. He had the telescope set up, everything else perfect. It was awesome. And somehow or another, a screw came loose and he just almost dropped. I mean, he just dropped almost. And so he got it fixed. I found an Allen wrench. I handed it to him. He got it fixed, but all his pictures just had that just a little bit out of focus. It was just, and then the dead battery.
It's one of these things that you can only practice and prepare, and then you charge everything the night before, and then you realize that you forgot to turn on the battery charger as well.
Yeah.
Right, because you've got it's all of these things.
And this is the one that's happened to me on it happened to me on the 2020, Chris. Autofocus during totality. Because remember, I was just trying to do video. Because I didn't want, I'm like you, or like your dad who wants to set up the camera and then I'm watching the eclipse. I'm not paying attention to the camera. And I set it up and had it pointed, looked beautiful and good, and then it just kept autofocusing during totality. I still got some good shots. with it.
That's something that we've also learned the hard way, which is that if you leave it on autofocus, somehow the fading light really messes with the focus, right? And then it ends up hunting and trying to catch on to something, but the light's changing faster than the sensors can react. So that's why we wanted to make sure that people, try to stay away from autofocus if you can.
Yeah. I think it's just the focus is trying to autofocus on the corona, and the corona has no that edges, so it struggles with that.
Exactly.
Kind of freaks
Chris?
out. But I do like, we spend a lot of time on here talking with people that are like, if it's your first total solar eclipse, do not try to image it. Most of the experts, most of the people that have seen plenty more than I have are like, just enjoy it. And then inevitably some of us have to go after that challenge. But I do like where your dad said that if something goes wrong, just drop it and forget it and just enjoy the eclipse. And it's very difficult to do that. But it's very important. It's just like you could take as much gear, but at some point you have to surrender and just let it go. So if you had any, what are some of your experiences trying to image and then having the fail that you can tell us about?
Well, I think this is lovely because of the 4 totalities that I've witnessed, each of them have a tiny story about how the camera has come into play. And so the first one in 2012, it was my first eclipse ever. And in 2012, technology wasn't great. We didn't have this wonderful iPhone. I think we were just on the cusp of smartphones. And I remember that, it went dark, it was beautiful, and then I had a stroke of genius. I said to myself, I need this on camera. And so I reached into my pocket and I took out my I think it was a crummy Android phone back then, and the camera sensor really wasn't very good. And I spent, maybe a good minute of totality trying to take a picture of the corona, which was crazy. And then I set it to panorama mode, and I got a good 360 shot of just around the ship. And actually, that photo is included in the book because it's one of my favorite shots because the quality wasn't great, but it captured the spirit of the moment. This idea of totality at dusk. But I think that's one of the lessons that I took, which is don't waste your time on your phone. Even if the technology has gotten better, you're just not going to be able to get it. And so for the second eclipse, and that was in 2017 that I went for, and that was in America, and we saw it from Idaho. Actually, my family, we kind of work as a camera operating team, right? So each of us gets assigned to a different device, and we're all doing something in coordination with Dad, who's kind of like the operations leader. And so for the 2017 eclipse, I was in charge of the 360 camera, which is actually a fire and forget tool, right? So I put a link in the book. I'd love to send it out as well. But I've got a 360 video of the 2017 eclipse from our vantage point. And so if you've got a VR set of goggles or even a smartphone, you can really stand next to us for the duration of that eclipse. And again, the quality was
Nice.
terrible. So you'll see that, it's pixelated. It's not great. We had set it on a manual focus so that it tried not to hunt. And I did a bit of video editing as well so that we could caption the directions and point the eye at what you should be paying attention to. But that experience capturing eclipse on a 360 camera was quite interesting as well. And if you have any questions, I'd love to share more. In
Okay, well, I noticed
2023.
We can share
Oh,
that
yeah.
easily. We'll put a link
Sure.
in here, and actually, might even be able to put some of it on our new video style podcast. But
Sure.
you won't get the effect unless you put on some VR goggles, right?
Yeah,
You will.
right.
You will. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
should try to
And it's
take
quite
one
nice.
of those 360s, and it came out bad.
I think the wonderful
Well-
thing about the 360 video format was that it really showed the reaction of the people around you, which you honestly don't pay attention to when you're watching an eclipse, right? You tend to look up, you tend to look around. But it's quite funny because you can see the different people fiddling with their devices, and I always want to shout at them and say, "Stop! Put it down!" Things that you
Yeah.
can only see with the 360.
I have a friend of mine's coming in. This will be his second, and he is into cameras. So he's kind of the first one he saw with us in 2024. He had his camera set up and everything. They ended up just watching it. This time he's still going to try to do that again, try to do the cameras. But I'm trying to push him to just watch it, set it, just let it go.
It
Well, I
was
think
tough.
we do have a healthy obsession with trying to photograph an eclipse. It's important.
So we kind of skipped over a little bit of, tell us about you, where you're from, and you're joining us from Singapore right now, and it's morning time there. So tell us a little bit about you and your dad.
Well, I think, sure. I think the story of me and has to start with mom and dad, right? So we're here in Singapore. Family's based here in Singapore. And mom and dad are the ones who really got into eclipse chasing. So dad is super interested in astronomy. And he did a master's in astronomy for fun when he retired. And that's kind of something he did. I don't know. It's just crazy. The idea of going back to school after you retired to get a master's in something that you don't intend to use for employment. Letitia did that
That's
as well.
my plan. That's my plan.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
That's
I
okay.
haven't retired yet, but my plan when I retire is to go get a degree in astronomy.
Yeah. So, talk to my dad. He's got some pointers on how to handle homework, I'm sure.
Okay.
And so he did the master's in astronomy, and mom's kind of interested in travel. So eclipse chasing was the natural marriage of those two interests. This idea that the
Exactly.
eclipse is going to take them to all kinds of far-flung reaches of the world, and they've gone really amazing places in the middle of the sea. They've gone to places they would otherwise never visit. And they've been doing that since 2008.
Has your dad seen every one since 2008? Or did they miss
No, I
any?
don't think they're completionists. I did listen to the first episode of Totality Talks where you said you're gonna aim to go to every single eclipse between now and then, and that's crazy. That's just amazing.
Totally crazy. I absolutely agree. But I'm up to 21, and this will be 22 for me. I've seen
amazing.
I've attempted to see everyone since 1998. And I saw my
Wow.
first one in 99, and I didn't have that concept then, but once I got the concept in 1998, I'm gung-ho. And Chris is the same since, 2017?
Well, 2017 was my first total. I saw a partial in 1979, and the teacher said this won't happen again until 2017. But she meant this won't happen again in North America till 2017. But I said, wow, if I'm alive then, I will go see Totality. And after that, I was like, I'm not missing this ever again. If I can handle it, I will not miss another total solar eclipse. So far, so good. Managed to be in the path of totality for every total solar eclipse since then, and no plans on stopping. So that's the path going forward, hopefully. But yeah, so you took a break after 2012. Did you just?
Yeah.
It was hard to get to for the how many
Well,
were there
I guess
between
It was
2012?
2013 and 2015 and 2016. And they were, so 2013 was I got cluttered out in the middle of the Atlantic, and it like touched Africa and then came across the Atlantic Ocean. And then 2015 was over it was like over the North Atlantic. It went over, I want to say Fiori Islands.
Pharaoh?
Anyway,
Faroe Islands. That's right.
the Faroe Islands. Went over the Faroe Islands, and I caught a plane for that one. And then 2016 was Indonesia, which was kind of close to where you guys are, but it was a little rougher trip for me because we were in the middle of Palu. It was just one of
Okay.
the islands in Indonesia. Did your parents see the 2016?
They did. So mom who is the real traveler, right? So dad is into the astronomy, mom's into traveling. And I wrote the book with dad. But what I've been trying to do with mom is to create like a website or a blog experience. And so it's something that's it's kind of a beta. It's a work in progress. We're not ready to publish it yet, but we have published it. So if you have time, you can check it out. It's at chasingtotality.org/beyond, right? And we're calling the mini site Beyond Totality, where I've interviewed mom and I've tried to put it together in a series of interactive stories, telling kind of that eclipse journey from her perspective. And if you wanted to call her on for a podcast like this, I'm sure she'd love to tell you all of her stories and all these places that she's been to. Because she was on.
That
Hold on,
would
I'm
be
pulling it up right now.
We'll give her a call right now. We'll pop her on.
Well,
if you can find her.
it's interesting you say that because one of the famous eclipse writers was the wife of a scientist eclipse chaser. And I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead.
Mom is definitely the one who's got stories upon stories. And what I love about mom's stories is that the eclipse is often the small part. The eclipse is the reason to travel, but the experiences around the eclipse are so rich. And I think that's something that I wish on anyone who chases an eclipse. Like totality, that 5 minutes, or in this case, maybe 2 minutes this year, are going to be magical. But, for me, the magic is well beyond totality, right? That entire experience of chasing is part of it. And mom captures that beautifully. So I think she was on, let's see, she was on in 2016, she was on Tidore. And she's got this lovely story about how she went to the Sultan's palace because apparently they had opened it to the community. And yes, she's got stories upon stories of the experience.
You have a wild story that happened to you or your mom.
Wild story. Well, I think, that comes, I'll speak from my experience. And in 2023, the one where we were watching the eclipse off the coast of Exmouth, where you are as well, actually, that was for me the most magical eclipse because my youngest brother had brought his then girlfriend on the trip, and he had this magnificent plan to propose to her at the end of totality. So the diamond ring would flash, and then he would get on one knee and present the ring to her and ask her to marry him. And so that's actually the third video story, which is for that eclipse, I don't have any footage of the sky because I was busy setting up to catch that magical moment, the proposal moment, just after totality, which is crazy again, right? Like, but it was so fun.
And she
You
accepted.
Such memories.
Enjoy totality though,
Yes.
right? You did.
Yeah.
Get- okay. It was
I
so
did,
quick.
I did
she
get to enjoy
accepted.
totality. Of course she
Did
accepted.
she
I don't think
accept?
you can say no
Yeah,
at that
okay,
point.
she-
You can't say no. You don't have a
Yes.
choice, actually.
Yeah.
That's
Can't say
awesome.
wait. Yeah.
And
I'll
that
get
was
back.
the great one. That was a great eclipse to do it because that was the pointiest eclipse I've ever seen. It would had like 7 points on the. I mean, it was like a real giant diamond. That one was. I'm sorry, Chris. You're saying
And the
something.
conditions were
Oh no,
amazing as well. So clear.
so
Yeah,
clear.
the prominences and the chromosphere. My favorite part was the extended chromosphere and how long it lasted on each side. It seemed like it was half of the totality. You had at least some chromosphere because it was so big. Such a close match between the size of the sun and the relative size of the moon. That blew me away. Seeing all that pink, fuchsia, magenta. I don't know what the proper color is for that hydrogen, but that was the
That
amazing
was
part for me.
so it was a double magical eclipse for your family. That's awesome.
We call it the triple diamond ring.
A triple diamond
Yeah.
ring. That's good. Are they married now? And it was
Yes,
2023.
they're
It's
happily married.
2026. Hopefully they got married in. Okay.
They did. They got married the following year. And they'll be chasing the eclipse with us again this year. So,
Oh, good.
well,
Excellent. In Spain. Awesome.
So no kids
You
yet. I
okay,
take it.
that might put the kibosh on the eclipse chasing for a bit.
Well, a couple years.
Now where is your cruise? Well, no, you said you're taking a cruise. Where are you taking the cruise at?
well, actually, we're departing out of Southampton in the UK. And then the itinerary takes us all the way south down to Ibiza.
Okay.
And then we will catch the eclipse on the return, back towards Southampton, just off the coast of La Coruna, which I think there are something like almost 10 ships positioning in that part of the sea, right? So we're not going to be the only ones out there.
Yeah. Several ships, several flights. We talked to a couple people who are going on flights too. In fact, one guy
Wow.
we talked to, he's actually on a cruise, but the captain's not that set on moving the ship for the eclipse. So he's actually going to leave the cruise, go take a flight and come back.
Wow.
He's a little crazier than us. That to me, that's pretty crazy though. But
That's pretty crazy.
So how
that's
long is the
very
cruise? How many days?
This one's 14 nights, I think.
So how many stops do you have?
Oh, well, I didn't count, but it must be something like 10 or 9 or 10, something like that. So we're stopping in Portugal, in Lisbon, Porto, Barcelona, Mallorca, down to Ibiza, and then La Coruna and Bilbao. I think.
all right. When are
Oh,
you
so
in
it's really a
when are,
Spanish eclipse. Mainly, you're
yeah,
going around Spain.
yeah.
Mostly Spain.
When are you going to be in Barcelona?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I would have to check. I could
Okay,
pull
well,
it
you have to
out.
let me know because I'm going to base myself out of Barcelona a few days before. So I'd love to meet you in person, even if it's just coffee at the pier.
Okay, sure. Let's get in touch. I'll let you know. I don't have the itinerary off the cuff right now.
Okay, let me know. I was thinking there was one thing I noticed in your book was you took a picture of all the equipment that you're taking for packing. And I noticed you have a little drone. You guys actually fly a drone during that, or you just set it and tell it to take the 360 and just leave it alone? What do you do with the drone?
Drone. So again, this points to the 2024 eclipse, which we saw out of Texas. We were just north of Kerrville. I don't know if that's near you guys at all.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
But so for that eclipse, I was the designated drone operator. And so what we did was we, of course, did a bit of the standard drone photography of the landscape and stuff around. And we had planned to have the drone sort of fly in a giant circle. So we pre-programmed it to fly in a circle around the eclipse site, hopefully catching the eclipse chasers who were gathered in like a little paddock, together with the horizon and hopefully a little bit of the changing colors, because the 360 sunset is one of the most amazing effects.
Yeah.
That's not in the sky. It's around you, right? And that's something that you need a 360 to capture. And so we tried to get the drone to circle the site, but goes to the machine, right? So the fading sunlight really messed, I think, with the combination of the GPS as well as the sensors and the drone. And just as totality hit, the drone froze midair and it stopped its programming. It refused to proceed. And I wasn't paying attention, right? Because I was watching the eclipse and I had pre-programmed it. And so we do have this footage where it's a really nice sweeping shot where it's going around the site, and then just as it gets dark, the drone freezes and it just captures the moment, which in itself was quite cinematic. And then I think about 3/4 way through the eclipse, I picked up my controller and I realized, oh no, and I punched in some, try and get it to carry on its programming, and I think I manually operated it from there. But yeah, so that's something that we do with the drone as well. Actually, I think a lot of the drone footage would be found on my dad's YouTube page. So, he does a great job of not just bringing us to the eclipse, but he also photographs it, something closer to what you do, Chris, I think. And he's got he does a lot of video editing to bring it together into kind of a montage of sorts that you can watch and recall the eclipse. So I'll share with you guys as well. It's really nice. A lot of the drone footage is captured in there. And,
So,
but
so
I
the
think,
drone. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say the problem with drones is, I guess different countries have different regulations, and you can't, you wouldn't always say that it's allowed. I think in the US, they're particularly liberal about allowing drone usage. Here in Singapore, though, you need permit to fly it here and there. And so, yeah, we would say the drone isn't a standard kit item, because if we're seeing it from a cruise ship, for example, they're not going to let you fly a drone off the cruise ship. It's just not safe.
Yeah.
To do, and that moving target for your GPS for the drone to come home. Home is now over that way from where you launched it. So it's a mess.
I would say the drone going up and then the ship moving and then it gets out of range and the drone just crashes to the ocean.
Stay up as
It'll
long
be a
as it can.
disposable drone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to get a disposable drone. It would be that.
So did the drone do you think that it had an issue in midair during totality, or do you think you hit some kind of limit in the FAA limit or something, and it was stopped programmatically, or did it just freak out?
Well, I think that we had done enough dry runs and practice shots that this was not a technical limitation of the drone and the programming at the time. My suspicion is there's some interference related to GPS, which I guess is scientifically explainable, right? So there was some interference with regards to GPS, probably some interference with regard to lighting, and the combination of the device being too smart and trying to solve its own problems caused it to stop, which is quite typical of technology these days. It's too smart and then it stalls.
Too smart. Yeah. In totality, you have to eliminate as many unknowns as possible. And it's not the known unknowns, and it's the unknown unknowns. Things that come up that you didn't expect and you couldn't have known that end up getting you. And that's when you have to just drop it and go. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to really put those things together and enjoy totality. So I've gotten better at gearing down. I spent a couple of eclipses gearing up. And Fred Espenak was telling us about how he had like 17 rigs going at one time, and 2 of them didn't work or something. He was just, and it's amazing that guy could get that many rigs going. But so what is your plan for your rig, and your father? What is his plan for gear for 2026?
We haven't actually sat down to discuss the operations and planning of this yet. But if I go by every eclipse that I've gone with Dad before, there is going to be a detailed briefing. There is going to be a spreadsheet. There's going to be assignments of tasks. There's going to be a whole setup. So usually Dad's rig includes, of course, something directed at the sun. Hopefully one for video, one for photo, because try and get as much as possible. He's also we've also got cameras pointing, facing us, so to catch front on, see what's behind us. And we have one camera behind us to see what's in front of us. I think this year we're going to be on a cruise ship, so we probably won't do the drone. But we will bring the 360 camera to try and capture that experience from a cruise ship as well. So usually I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras, 5 setups. And then of course we've got whoever else is doing the ad hoc kind of smartphone footage. Because nowadays I think the best thing you can do with a smartphone is just put a small tripod, leave it, put it to the side, set it on record, and then enjoy totality, right?
Just
That's the
walk
best
away
way to
from
do
it.
it.
Yep.
Walk away. Right?
And if you
Set
get
it
it,
on like a
you get
wide
it. If you
lens
don't,
and
Yep. Wide
I
lens,
think
because
nowadays
it'll
if
track out. If you focus on the sun, it'll track out.
yeah, nowadays if you set it to like the wide lens and you just leave it there, I think for most people you're almost guaranteed to get some footage that you'd like to use. Even if it's not of the corona, because you're unlikely to image that with your camera anyway, but you're gonna get the atmosphere and the change of lighting that I think is what you're trying to capture anyway.
Yeah.
for anybody who is trying to do that with their phone, the key things are to turn off the autofocus and try to turn off the auto brightness. And if you can get those two things under your manual control and disengaged, you'll have
Yeah.
a lot more success.
That's important, because if you don't do that, then you don't get the light changes, because
Yep.
the camera's constantly adjusting for the change in light. So the bright one looks just like the the dark one.
Once again, we don't recommend it, but if you do,
Yeah. No. If you do.
if you
If you
must,
do.
don't be
If you
holding the
do.
camera up and trying to take pictures of it with your hand. Get it set up on a tripod, get away from it. Yeah. But you'll have an interesting time on a cruise ship. But you've done the cruise ship eclipse before, so you know that you're on a moving platform, which changes everything. I don't know. I try to implement a gimbal for the only eclipse cruise I've ever done in 2021. Do you guys have you tried to do anything like that, or do you just put it on a one leg tripod and try to point it around with the ship moving about?
I think one of the trade-offs that we've made, the dad makes, is that we zoom out so that we can accommodate for a bit of that movement of the ship. So you won't get as high a magnification a shot as you could get if you were on land with the stability. It's just a trade-off you have to make when you're on a ship. I think there's no way around it. Actually.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some amazing images in your book, and I'm kind of curious how you accomplished such precise imaging from a ship. I guess those are super quick images when you're taking it. But you got great chromosphere from 2023, I believe that image is from.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if that was handheld, tripod. How did you pull that off?
So most of the eclipse photography is done by my dad and my brother. So I've got two brothers. The youngest one is the one who proposed. And the second brother, the one who's in between both of us, is the one who operates the camera rig with dad. And so I didn't do any of the photo editing, so I can't speak to the technical aspect of it. But I do know that there's a lot of manual processing at the end of the day, right? In order to layer on the different exposures. And that's something that dad does quite a lot. Yeah. Yeah. All of these are all
And he got,
dad's photos.
I know. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. He got beautiful shot. And I recognize it. I recognize when the one in 2023, because I recognize that eclipse all the time. Like,
Yeah.
2023.
I remember that prominence. Yeah.
I remember that point.
Yeah.
7-pointed eclipse. My first and only so far 7-pointed eclipse. But it was such a good one just because it was it was getting close to sun maximum. And I think sun maximum was 2025. It's coming down finally, but they're still not even sure.
Well, all the eclipses these few years, I think are going to be pretty good. So, especially next year.
So how early before the eclipse will your dad be on the ship staking out his spot, putting out tape?
Well, every time I've done this with dad, I've always felt that he was a little bit, he likes to go really early. But that's because he wants a really good spot, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if, even though the eclipse this time only happens near sunset, he's gonna be out there from noon onwards, I think. Like he's gonna go early. He's either gonna go early or he's gonna ask one of us to go early, because that's the benefit of having children. You just send them off to, you go stand in that spot, make sure that no one takes it so I can put my tripod there.
You guys are just gonna do rotating shifts, right? Just your turn, tag you in, tag you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on
Yeah.
cruises with Fred and Fred Espedak, and he was one of those guys out. He staked out. He like taped down the lines and just,
Yeah.
seriously, don't come here. It's very, very serious photography.
Yeah.
One of my favorite videos by him was that he did that background shot that you're talking about, where your dad's putting the camera behind you to get that. He did that when at the 2024 eclipse. Was it 27? It might be the 2017 eclipse. And you can just see him just running around, taking, having all the shots during everything. It was just crazy. It was crazy. It was beautiful. Actually, he wasn't running around during totality, but you could see he was doing the video of him setting everything up. Big
And
rig
I think
that he had set up.
for us, we haven't really done the taping and sort of reserving of space. Something that I feel quite strongly about is the idea that Eclipse brings the community together. This idea that we don't really want that private space, because I love it when somebody else comes by and says, "Oh, do you mind if I take a look? What's going on with your rig?" As long as they don't kick the tripod, right? Because that's probably why you want to keep people away. Don't kick my tripod.
And that
Um,
happened.
But
Yeah.
it happens, right? Yeah. Or they stand in front of a camera. But we do, I particularly enjoy this idea of, people coming together and seeing what you've got and of course learning from each other. That's part of the whole eclipse chase, right? The community of eclipse chasers, the people, the faces that you might recognize. Because I've only done this 4 times, and I think every once in a while I see someone and I'm like, I might have seen them before.
But you had I forget what the thing was that you said about when you plan for an eclipse, you had like a little thing of it, but the last of it was doing outreach.
That's right.
That you plan for your
So
eclipse, it's location, it was location, weather, safety, or safety, logistics, budget, but part of it was outreach, is that you like to include outreach in it.
that's right. Now it's Dad's what he's calling the PADCO framework, which is path,
PADCO.
accessibility, path, accessibility, duration, cloud cover, and outreach, right? And as Dad shares, outreach has become more important after he's seen several eclipses, because now I think a part of it is just bringing more people along in the journey. And that's really something that's come through for this 2026 eclipse. So if I could just tell you guys the brief timeline, Mom and Dad started chasing in 2008. And then in 2012, I happened to have a lot of annual leave accrued for the year. And I said, you know what, I'll use it all and join you guys. And so I went with Mom and Dad, kind of the first tag along child. It wasn't a child, I was 20 plus years old, right? But I tagged along with them in 2012. And then in 2017, we said, you know what, it's going to be over America. It's the most accessible eclipse we will ever encounter. Or that's what we said at the time. And then, of course, it happened again in 2024. So in 2017, we said it's going to be so accessible. So the whole family went, right? So Mom, Dad, and the 3 boys, we went on that adventure together into the middle of Idaho. And then in 2023, when we went to Australia, some friends joined us, and the group size increased from 5 of us to now plus 1 girlfriend, now wife. And the group, I think, swelled to about 10 people. And this time in 2026, our group size has expanded to 12 of us traveling from Singapore for the eclipse. And we're meeting up with more friends from around the world who we're going to congregate, we're going to meet on the ship, right? And I think our group size is something like 16 now of us who have come together just to do this. So outreach and community is a big part of it.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that if you were doing a land cruise, Janine Francis is actually doing a meetup in Saragossa. And then I'm now working to include that in our plan to make sure that we go for the meetup and meet up there. And I'm hoping to some mics and everything else and talk to people over there, get some good recordings. We'll see how it goes.
That'll be
But
fun.
it's always good. It'll be fun. But you'll start seeing a lot of the same people, especially if you're doing the cruise, because there's a lot of people that do tend to stick to the eclipse cruises, which I think is cool too. I like the eclipse cruises. I've done several. And have you already guys started making plans for 2027?
Oh, I haven't made any plans for 2027, but I'm very sure Mom's got a couple of tabs open on her browser, and she's like probably got some ideas, and she
Okay.
knows that she can't pitch the idea until we've done this one, right? So she's got it all
Oh,
ready, and I'm very sure halfway through the trip, when somebody says, "Oh, this was so fun, we should do it again," and she's gonna be like, "I have it all here, yes or no."
Probably has the itinerary, just hasn't told you yet.
she didn't told you yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another cruise worthy one because it's going to be over the Mediterranean. Yeah. There's a lot
Although
of
I
good
think
cruises
if I
coming out of
was,
that.
but if we're going to see the one in Egypt next year, then I certainly would aim to try and see it from the desert where you have almost zero cloud cover. It's almost a perfect kind of opportunity to get such long duration and perfect skies.
It's long and
If you
it's
did,
straight up, like 87 degrees or something crazy like that.
yeah.
You're just going to
Won't be
have
letting
take.
down.
And if for whatever reason you get clouded out next year and you're seeing it from the desert and you get clouded out, the fact that you got clouded out is going to be more magical, actually, because that's probably rarer.
Yeah.
Actually, the risk is not clouding out. The risk is sandstorm. There's a
That's true. That's
sandstorm
going to be
risk.
even more terrifying.
Yeah, that was going to be there's a sandstorm risk. It's not the risk of clouds, it's sandstorms. But I'm looking at, and then it's going to be back in Australia in 2030. So that'll be back in your neck of the woods, and that should be a pretty good trip for you and your family to get to. Because that one
Yeah.
comes all the way across Australia, from one end to the other.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that speaks as to why there's a gap in my eclipse resume. I guess simple truth is that for most people who are working, it's not easy to accumulate the leave and the financial resources to keep chasing eclipses, right? So you got to save a little bit in terms of your annual leave and look at your vacation days, save to the budget, then you can afford to do something more fun.
It's also very hard for those who really should be considering retirement and can't because she spent all her money on Total Solar Eclipse chasing through her life and just got to keep working.
So, what is your favorite part of the book?
My favorite part of the whole book is the section divider. I think it's on the last part of the book where I've got a photo of me, dad, and mom at that first eclipse that I ever saw. And for me, that's what captures the magic of the eclipse because, I see the magic in it and I want people to experience that joy. But more than just seeing an eclipse, I want them to be able to see an eclipse with the people that they enjoy seeing it with. I think that's going to be a lot more magical. Yeah, so my favorite part is that
That's
photo,
beautiful.
right? It's me, mom, and
Yeah.
dad. I'm in that red and white striped shirt, which I still have to this day, right? And yeah, that's the memory for me.
That's great. We'll post it. We'll put it on here.
Okay, we'll post it. We'll
Yeah.
post it. That's great, though. That's great. I had my parents were with me for the 2017, and they were with me for the 2024. And I was glad I was able to show this. And then this one's very special to me because my sister, who is actually taking care of my parents, is coming with us. And I'm covering part of her cost because she needs the break. She's been, I mean, she it's a lot of work helping my parents out. And my nephew's joining me, my brother, my sister-in-law, another couple of good friends are joining us. And so it's going to be just a nice, it's going to be just a very, very nice get together with friends and family. And that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons I made the decision not to go to Iceland because the cost for my husband and I to go to Iceland on a cruise is comparable to me bringing friends and family with me and subsidizing part of it.
Yeah.
So I just rather just share this eclipse with them and go from there.
No, it's just truly amazing how dad and mom's interest and passion has kind of sparked this opportunity for the people who are in their orbit to kind of hear a little bit more about eclipses and, get into it and come and chase it with us if you really want it, right? So one of my favorite little jokes that's coming out of this entire experience is when we knew that we wanted to go on this eclipse chasing trip for 2026, I created a PowerPoint deck. I call it my eclipse pitch deck. And at every gathering of friends and family, I would say, guys, can I do a sales pitch? And I'll send you guys the link. It's really funny, but I have this PowerPoint deck where you can flip through and you can sort of see what this whole journey is. Pitch it as a holiday, pitch it as an experience. And something that's funny, I don't know if you know this, but Singaporeans so obsessed with eating. And so after doing this presentation a couple of times, I started putting more emphasis on food in my slides. So when you receive it, you'll see that I've put like the menus from the cruise ship on the slides, because I realized that the Singaporeans who were looking at this presentation were more convinced by the variety of food than they were by the eclipse, which is quite funny.
That's good. That's good. And I will be serving, and we'll be serving, and we'll be serving.
We had a chef on one of the cruise ships that made sometimes they'll make eclipse type dishes. And he had a dessert and it was a little cookie over some ice cream and had the eclipse going on.
That sounds fun.
I've drank it. I've drank many a eclipse drink on a cruise ship. You just can't have too many of them because those are the ones I'm not used to.
Well, you have a little spot in here about describing totality. And so I'm kind of curious how you would describe totality. What's your favorite way of describing it?
My favorite way of describing totality is, it feels like a sudden sunset and a sudden sunrise. And just experiencing that very, very quickly is part of the magic of that experience, right? The day going dark and then becoming bright again.
It'd be
To me, it's
interesting this
yeah.
time. I've never done really a sunset. It's always gotten brighter.
Mhm.
After the lowest one I've ever seen was 2019 at about 16 or 17 degrees high in Argentina. But I'm kind of curious how it's going to be when if it will get any type of, bright after.
Yeah.
How bright will it get? And after totality at 6 degrees high? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I have no
Yeah.
idea what
Yeah.
to expect.
I'm actually quite worried. I'm quite worried that, it's going to be so low on the horizon that all of these other problems that we have not prepared for and that we have not imagined are going to start to show up. I wonder whether or not the atmospheric distortion is going to just mess up that entire, what we usually like to photograph, but it's going to be really difficult.
You might get it might be pretty dramatic because you might also get that sunrise and sunset effect where the sun gets bigger. I'm looking forward to seeing the partial having it set in partial. I'm
Yeah.
really curious to seeing how that's going to look like. Because I saw something similar in 2010 and then 2002, but I think in 2022, I just really couldn't see the partial setting. I don't know, it's because of where it was. I think it's in both aspects, in both places, there was a horizon higher than the horizon. So right after totality, it dropped pretty quick.
Did you get that in 2019? You were on the other side of the mountains from where I was at, but we
Yeah,
had
it
it
was on the other
setting
side of the mountain.
behind the Andes in partial, and we had going behind a mountain, and you had two sides of the sun chopped off with the
Chopped off,
partial.
yeah.
It's pretty cool,
Yeah. I
but
really
I'm
didn't
not
catch the
worried.
partial at the sunset. Tell your mom she needs to look up the lady Mabel Lomas Todd. She wrote a book, Total Eclipses, back in the late 1800s because she followed her husband around chasing eclipses. So your mom should take after her. I'll send you a link over to her. Okay.
All right. Yeah. That'd be really cool. Thank you both for really doing, Totality Talks. I honestly, I had not heard of the podcast until Letitia reached out to me, but I'm listening to every episode now, and I wish I had access earlier, right? Because it's so nice when you guys are doing this idea of telling the stories and bring it together, bring it to life. Well, both of are interested. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's been a lot of fun, and what spawned it was we were getting ready for an eclipse in, I guess,
2024.
2023.
Well, it's 2023 and 2024. We started in 2023, I think.
Yeah, because I think we were trying to get to Exmouth for that trip, but I was going around looking and trying to find podcasts. I was like, okay, surely there's a Total Solar Eclipse podcast out there. I want to get all the information I can. It's got to be out there. And all we found were podcasts that had an eclipse episode, but not fully focused. There were some great popular podcasts out there that did, an eclipse episode, but nobody was focused on it. It's because it's just it's so niche and small and tiny. And so we're like, we should do it. We can't find one to listen to. We'll just make one.
And
And it's
and
been great.
we've been very lucky. We've had some greats on here. We've had some greats. We've had Fred Espenak. Um, God,
A good
lots of
list.
other people. And we have had a really good list here.
Yeah, if you're going through them, one of my favorites is the Kate Russo two-parter, and she's spent some time in Australia. She's originally Australian, I believe.
She's Australia. She lives there
Yeah.
now. She lives there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she spent a lot of time in the UK, but it's one of my favorites because she goes through the whole psychology of it. So I think you'll enjoy that one if you're going through. It's one of my favorites.
I'm gonna listen to them all.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think her book is Totally Addicted. Totally
Being in the there's Total Addiction.
Total Addiction.
Yeah.
Her first book was Total Addiction.
Then Being in the Shadow
The Shadow is her second one.
that's a great book. So do you have any other questions you were itching to ask there, Letitia?
No, I think we covered everything. I mean, I love the book. It's definitely focused on the 2026 and has a lot of great hints for everybody. There's newbies as well as people who are willing to try something else. Like I said, my favorite chapter was the ghost chapter. I just started laughing. Like, oh no, reliving the moment. Yeah, the battery's out. So my ghost one is the fact that I bought a brand new, but this was 2003. So I bought a brand new video recorder. So the tech was nowhere near to where it is now, but I bought a brand new video recorder. We tried it out. We worked on it and everything else. And then I could not get it to work on the plane. We were flying over Antarctica and I couldn't get it to work on the plane. And just failed at that. My good camera didn't work. The best picture I have is from a point and shoot that my husband took. Just a point and shoot. But it's this beautiful when the eclipse is in the sky and you see the shadow on the ice. And beyond the shadow you see the sun on the ice.
Oh.
It's just this wonderful picture. But again, point and shoot. I think it was still film. I think it was a film point and shoot.
Oh wow, okay.
The best picture I got out of that one.
And that makes me think of, how technology will advance and how it will change the way we've been chasing eclipses, right? Because
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time before someone comes up with a dedicated piece of eclipse camera, eclipse technology, something like that. And that might make it so much easier to do, but also it would take away what makes it so mystical and magical, right? So, it's double-edged sword of technology.
I don't know if I agree with that, just because I think the more you learn, the more it's mystical and magical.
It-
I mean, when you delve into the math and everything else, it just increases the wonder. It's like, oh my God, all these things are happening all at once, and the orbital dynamics and everything. To me, it increases the wonder of it all. And that just makes that experience just deeper. So the tech also
Yes.
lets you relive the experience a little bit better than the experience itself. I don't know that we'll ever get to, full sensory that I could do a show and give everybody the eclipse experience. I don't think that technology that's a long, long way off.
Yeah, I found the magic first, and then I got the magic the first time. That's why I got hooked on chasing them. Then brought in the then oh well, maybe I can capture this, and you can try, but
We try.
it's just so difficult. It's just not meant. You can't capture magic. You can't capture the mystery and magic with the camera. That's just
Yeah.
I try to gear down now. It's one of my new transitions, but not going very good. But I'm trying.
Chris, what does your rig look like? Yeah, I mean, what do you guys? I mean, I'm sure you've got different setups. But what is that like?
I have 2 iPads and my iPhone, and I put them on.
Okay.
I mount them, point them for video, and put them on record. One of them I put on. Well, here's Chris. This is Chris's. Well, he puts his on. He put his. I put it on record and just go watch. My husband's.
Yeah.
I'll let you, Chris, show that, and let me see if I can hook up. I don't think I could hook up my camera up here. No, I can't show you. My husband's is actually already set up in the great room because he's fiddling with it.
Yep. Now's the time to fiddle with it.
Yeah,
You have
he's
to be
fiddling with it
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, you guys better get your spreadsheet and your checklist going and gear check.
Yeah,
It's starting to get into crunch time.
it's starting.
Yeah.
Mine's is starting already.
So basically, I just have a camera and a lens, and I've
Yeah.
downsized my lens over the years for travel. It's just tough
Yeah.
to travel with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I've got friends that they don't care. They take the gear and they take the big huge tripods but I run it off of I've got a computer that plugs into the camera, and I use a program called SetnC, and it's like a solar eclipse timer. And basically you set up your exposures and the time, and you get it set up with universal time, and you find out exactly where you're at with with your coordinates, and
Yeah.
then it fires off automatically based on the events. So partials, obviously, and then about 15 seconds before for a second contact, it starts firing off pictures, and then it automatically adjusts the exposure time. And I keep the same ISO pretty much, and it just automatically hits it. And then when totality hits, it takes a bracket, and if it's a long one, I'll try to capture another bracket maybe, and then it's at third contact, it starts doing the same thing and starts capturing, trying to catch some chromosphere, trying to catch some prominences. And then obviously it changes the exposure time to try to diamond ring after C3. And so it worked pretty good in 2024. I went over and just breathed on it wrong, and the focus went out for third contact, but I got some good stuff.
Yeah.
And
do you have to do the manual
There's that ghost.
removal?
There's that ghost.
Yeah, it's a quick off, and that's it. That's the only touching. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. And of course, I had to go look and see if it was working, and that's when everything falls apart.
Yeah.
But I just keep it that simple. I had 3 or 4
I love
different
it.
things going on in 2019 and 2020, and it just kind of slowly, learned how to gear down and just enjoy the event.
That's what I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
I think so.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jared. Thank you for putting the book out
thank
there
you for having
for
me.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, that's one of the best. Yes, Chasing Totality.
A great
The
guy.
outreach
Fantastic.
that this group does, that everybody that's a solar eclipse chaser that just automatically just wants to share the love with everybody. So I appreciate you and your dad taking time to write a book to put it together.
Yes, fantastic.
Thank you so
guys.
much for
Thank you.
kind words, and thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it for this episode of Totality Talks. In the next episode, we welcome back the eclipse weather expert, eclipsophile Jay Anderson. As always, clear skies,